Happy 2021, the first mastermind of the year, and more of a calling it a like a roundtable discussion, right? Because the whole idea of the mastermind is for us all to get together as a group and discuss strategies, tactics, things together that we can all do to help one another. Because part of the culture here, the community here at my home group is always helping. We are in the business of building businesses, and it's the forefront of our mind right now, especially going into 2021, coming off of a pretty hectic 2020. We don't have to go down that path, though we all went through it. So um, today on the call, we have Steve Castle, who is a team leader here, top producer at my home group, and also Liz Dysart with VIP Mortgage, the Stuart Crawford team. If you guys don't know Liz, you will. I'm sure most everybody does. The beautiful part about our partners, not just VIP, but all of them, is their objective is the same as ours as a company, which is to help everybody and help grow your business and help build your business. So that's a wonderful thing about our partners. And another thing that's great about my home group, I'm tooting our horn, is a team leader like Steve Castle and several others. Obviously, I'm not mentioning here, but Steve being on the call and stepping up to discuss 2021 business planning strategies, etc. Is our teams are a wealth of knowledge as well. And the beautiful thing about being here is they are opening up the playbook and showing you insights to what they're doing to help, again, shorten the learning curve and really get folks to the goals and the commitments that you're trying to get to in your business, since we all are individual business owners. So with that being said, I want to thank Steve, want to thank Liz, want to thank everybody else here on the call today, and excited to kick it off. So today, talking 2021 business planning. I know that business planning starts in 2020, right, the year before, but it does work out in a lot of circumstances that it starts, right? We start doing it this year. We start doing it in the month of January. So I think it would be really cool for Steve to kind of explain what they've done to do approximately, I think Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, around 40 million in 2020, and what the plan is and what they do to strategize to meet and then exceed their production goals. And those are big numbers, and Steve can explain more too on his team, the dynamic of it. But doing 40 million with only a couple bodies is very, very impressive. And how he manages that and how he manages his day and his workflow and everything. So Steve, I'm gonna turn it over to you again, Steve Castle, Castle Group here at my home group, and would love to give some insight to what y'all are doing.
Perfect. You rounded up a little bit, but I'll let you do it. So I think we were like at 36 million, but I'll take it.
Potato.
Yeah, exactly. I think for us, one of the things that happened a few years back is we kind of understood, we used to business plan from like starting with a number of what we wanted to hit if income and working back. And it was really challenging when, I'd get to January or February, I'd already be behind some massive goal that I had set that I had no real strategy or plan for how I was going to achieve it, and get frustrated and throw it in the garbage and pretty much quit on it by March or April. And I think that's kind of an experience a lot of us have. So a few years ago, we decided we were going to actually kind of business plan in reverse. And we business plan our activities first. And we business plan our communication with our past clients. We business plan our events, if we're going to be able to throw events, all of that stuff. There's some great books about this, but those we call those lead measures. So what activities are you going to take to achieve the results? And then we work backwards from that. So based on that, we're able to fill in, okay, where do we think we need more help? Where can we create leverage? What kind of things can we automate? What kind of things are we going to have be hands-on with every month? And all of that together builds a business plan. And then I think the other piece of that is understanding how you like to set goals and plans. One thing I've realized is that if I set this really massive goal that doesn't have a great plan behind it, I get frustrated and quit on it. So I'm better off actually setting a little bit more of a reasonable goal and being able to keep my eye on it and feel like if I get a little bit behind, I can catch it. So I don't set massive goals that are, 3, 4, 5 times my production I did the year before. We're just trying to get better incrementally.
And I like that because it's all about getting better every day, right? And every year and every moment.
Yep.
And so everybody has an idea too of my home group and how we set our goals as a company and our commitments. It's very similar to what Steve is. We're not necessarily doing income as far as what we want to make. We definitely look at total production as a brokerage, and that relates to the number of agents that we have. But as you guys can see and feel, our agent attraction methods are a little different than other companies because we're looking to attract like-minded folks. It doesn't mean you have to be a monster producer to come to my home group, but the like mind of wanting to grow your business and get better every single day. So the principles, even with the brokerage, are very similar to what you're doing in your day-to-day business. Of course, the activities are slightly different, but again, all relating to real estate. So Steve, as far as working and engineering backwards, which I like because it's all about the specific measurable actions that get us to the numbers that we want to be. Are you in your plan for 2021? Is there an agent growth plan with that as well?
Yeah, so that's one of the things, I think it's important to be really clear about what you're trying to achieve with your goals. So we do have modest growth in our plan for this year, but one of the things for me that was important for my business plan is I'm still taking too many buyers for my personal liking in my own car. So building out a plan for leverage is a big part of this year. Making sure the infrastructure on the team is really solid, making sure that the communication plan is solid the way we want it. With modest growth versus the last couple of years, we've had pretty big growth in terms of production from, I would say the last 4 years, we went from like 12 million to 18 million to 28 million to 36 million. So pretty big jumps. Our growth this year production wise is not, I think our goal is just over 40 million, but it's more about making sure the infrastructure is in place than it is like having a massive growth number for this year.
Maybe we can touch on, Steve, some of those specific measurable actions activity wise that you're doing to lead prospect, generate whatever, and I don't know exactly all your pillars, but maybe you can kind of discuss a few of those. A couple months in, or maybe they're activating back up, or again, just looking for that plan. And I think a lot of the things that we talk about are these broad, specific, measurable actions, but maybe we can dive into what those actually are and what you're doing in a team to meet those numbers, lead generation wise.
Yep. So a couple things. So our business is very, very sphere heavy. Past client and sphere based is almost all of it. It's about 80% of our revenue. So that the communication with our past clients in our sphere is the most important thing we do. And we calendar out, we have the whole year calendared already. We did that at the end of last year. So there's some stuff we automate. Like if you guys know what HomeBot is, we're just adding that automation in now to all our sellers so that they're getting HomeBot, because it's a thing that we can set and forget, that people are seeming to respond pretty well to. There's other stuff that I do. I do a video monthly market update that's a couple minutes long, but I have that in my schedule already. It films the 15th or the day after, if the 15th's on the weekend. And then the guy that shoots it for me turns it around the next day, and then we mass email blast it out to our database. So that's been happening since maybe March or April, since COVID, basically. I was really reluctant to do it, but since we weren't able to do in-person events, which was kind of a big thing for us, it was like, how do we pivot and still be face-to-face with people and still be building that bond and that relationship? And we've actually had several people reach out to us that were in our sphere but had never been clients, that called because the video showed up in their inbox as they were talking about buying or selling or something. So that's been working pretty well for us. And then this year we have some scaled down smaller events that are like maybe like 2 to 3 couples at a time because we don't know what we're going to be able to do large scale wise in terms of events. So all of that's completely calendared for ourselves, as well as like a few random things. So we have a couple businesses or recruiters that send us business. So like this Friday is National Bagel Day, apparently. So that's calendared. So we'll take, a bunch of bagels to a couple of key businesses that have sent us business. So we're always looking for an opportunity where we can build a relationship where more than one referral can come from one person. So whether that's a recruiter, whether that's someone that owns a company that is willing to give you a platform within their organization, anything like that, where someone has an authority position that can refer you, 1, 2, 5, 10 people in a year instead of just having to go 1-to-1 to a contact is just a huge win.
Well, I love hearing that 80% of your business is repeat and referral, and that is again what we're all striving to get to. Statistically, once you hit that tipping point of 60% or more, that's really where you're seeing your fruits of your labor come in, and those sphere activities like Steve's talking about, of the touches, the emails, the bagels, the drop-bys, the birthdays, the everything. And I want to go back to HomeBot just slightly for a minute, because I think HomeBot is just a wonderful, wonderful lead generation tool that every single one of you guys should be looking into and dropping your clients in there, even prospects in there that are current homeowners that you maybe not have worked with in the past, because what it does is on a monthly basis, it sends them a pretty darn detailed report of what's happening in the neighborhood and a kind of estimate of value. And I think Liz Dysart with VIP and Stuart Crawford team, they can speak to that a little as well, on those tools that are available for agents to use. Again, like Steve said, is a lot of what we're trying to do is automate, right? Set it and forget. And that's great. And it's not setting to forget, it's setting it so that it's an automated piece to your business that you don't have to think about every single second, and make sure that it's going out. The things that you really want to monitor on that monthly basis are those touches, and again, anything you can possibly automate in that time frame. Starting brand new, a lot of it you can do manually because it's either not a bigger sphere or you're just building in and adding to your database. And for somebody that has a large database that maybe has not started selling it, and that's what you're doing, these are the things that you can implement and start day one. That'll help you so much longer, your year, 2 years into the business, and you look back and thank yourself. One of the biggest things we did wrong, I think, when we first started, is you're chasing your tail to get business, and you're going to this deal to that deal. You're sitting in open house and somebody shows up and wants to go look. So you're always kind of chasing that deal, and we're forgetting to add to our database and build that main infrastructure. It's a tedious, somewhat daunting task, but if you do it day one, it's so much easier than going in reverse and trying to figure out everybody that did a deal with you, and 2 years later. And believe it or not, it's still one of the main mistakes that real estate salespeople make when they first get started. So Liz, I don't know if you can speak to a bit on HomeBot, maybe a little further than my broad description of it, but I'm seeing it more and more now, seeing it being used and hearing the wonderful, wonderful feedback like Steve's giving and other agents, that it's become like one of those great lead generation tools at a reasonable cost, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak to HomeBot a lot. Our team has been using it for almost 4 years. So I know a lot about it, and we have almost 100 agents that we sponsor on it as well. So I teach classes on it every month. So if anybody wants more information, we can definitely get one on the calendar for my home group. But what it is basically is a tool to send very detailed home property valuations to your clients, and not just clients. A lot of agents use it as a farming tool around their listings or open houses, or with their, database around the country, as it is national data. So the data is pulled from Black Knight, all the county assessors, all the county recorders, and the MLSs across the country, and it puts together a automated valuation on their property. So it's very property specific, but what I love about it is it doesn't just give them a valuation. It shows them all of their options about how to build wealth with their equity that they've built in their home. So it talks about everything about, taking out money to buy an investment property, using their home as an Airbnb or VRBO, buying a second home, selling their house and upgrading to another home. So what it really does is it just opens up a ton of conversations that consumers typically don't think about because nobody educates them about the financial side of using their home as an investment, really, So it provides really great portals of communication with you and your clients and gives you visibility into all those stats on their home as well, so that you can have that dialogue in an educated manner. So it's pretty incredible. Some of the agents we put on it, Andrew Glenn, when he first put his database on it a few years ago, I think he put in 82 people and he got 6 listing appointments out of it. So it's something that right away, people who didn't even understand or think about selling, when they see the different options that they have with the equity that they've built, it gets their mind thinking about really how to maximize that equity to build long-term wealth. So,
and I'm actually on it as I was gonna say, sorry, Liz. I was gonna say, I'm on it as a client because of Stuart and the Crawford team, Liz over at VIP, and I get it every single month. And the cool part about it is seeing it on a client level, as opposed to being the agent sending it out, is when the email comes, if you guys haven't seen it, it's your property address. So when you get an email and it's your property address, what's the first thing you do? You open it. And it is, like Liz said, it's wonderful.
That's exactly right, Mark. I think it's great because, as Steve said, it's set it and forget it. There's really no work that you have to do to manage it on a monthly basis if you don't want to. However, I have a lot of agents now that are using it almost like a second CRM and going in on a weekly basis and using that as their call list. It shows you in real time who's engaging with the report, how many times they've opened it, if they're looking into other market stats in their zip code, if they're looking into buying in their zip code, because there's now a buyer functionality side of HomeBot as well. So it's an amazing tool. I suggest all of you to get on it. It's free for up to 25 clients. That's what I would suggest everyone to do. Set up a free account, play with it, test it out, put yourself on there as a homeowner. And again, remember, it works for anyone in the country. So even if you have family in different states, put them on there, try it out. And then if you decide you want to upgrade, it's $25 a month for up to 500 contacts. You do have the option to be sponsored by a lender partner, which reduces the cost a little and gives you some additional features. That's what my team and a lot of other top lenders in the Valley do. And that provides your client with some more, information on like the refinance side, where it visually color codes if it would be a good option for them to refinance in their current position. But it's a really awesome tool. I'd be happy. I can send our info to Kelly so that everyone can check it out. I have a whole list of info about it we can send to you guys.
That's awesome. Thanks. Yeah. And I can attest to it as well. There is a lot that you get as a homeowner, and that somebody, again, if they haven't worked for it and you put them on there, they're going to open it. At least you can see that engagement. And that's really cool. The analytics of it. That's awesome. So you guys probably see how many times I click it.
Yes, open it. Yeah. It's really cool. And it actually sends you, anytime your clients engage with the report, it sends it back to you as a lead. Like there's all these prompts where the clients can say, what are my cash out options? Or how much would my house sell for? Or what would an investment property look like? There's all these things. And anytime they hit those buttons, it comes to the agent as an email lead, basically saying that so-and-so wants to discuss investment properties. And then that way, it's obviously a really great prompt for you to call and have those conversations. But in the meantime, you can pull up their actual report, what they're seeing, so that you are educated and equipped to have those conversations when you call them back. It's been the best tool that my team has implemented in our business in the last 3 years. It's been, obviously with our current lending climate and where rates are, if we're refinancing last year, it was just our #1 lead source by far. But from on the agent side, it's been an amazing listing tool for our agent partners as well. So it's something I would encourage everyone to look into.
I love it. Thank you. And staying on you, Liz, kind of getting the different perspective, but also seeing that when we all do 2021 business planning as a lender, a title, and agent, that we all are here, what are you and VIP and Stuart Crawford doing in the 2021 plan for your growth strategy, just giving the lender perspective so we can see kind of everything, because I think it's nice to have a good idea of what everyone is doing in our industry to plan after such a chaotic year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to speak. I can talk about that briefly, but I'd also love to talk about, a little bit about what we teach in UX about business planning for agents that
Yes,
may just be
awesome.
getting started. And I'll maybe start with that if I can, because I think Steve is such an amazing resource. He obviously has been business planning for years, and he's built a great team that does high production and volume. But for a brand new agent, they may not be at that same place of needing to plan as in-depth as he does, because they're not really ready for events and gifting and that kind of stuff yet. So in that case, I think really the best place to start, which Steve nailed, is planning activities first. And really, if you start with that and keep some sort of method to hold yourself accountable to the activities, you are going to see the results ultimately. So in UX, what we do is we actually start with the mindset portion of it and making sure that you are mentally prepared and ready to work. And I think that a lot of agents start with, like he mentioned, just they throw a dart out at a number. I want to make 100 grand this year, but there's really no why or how behind it. And that's where agents ultimately fail. So what we start with in UX is we first start with how much money do you need to make? And we make every agent fill out a personal expense sheet. And most agents have no clue, most people in general have no clue how much they really need to make to live, or how much they're actually spending on a monthly basis. So we first break that down. How much money do you need to live? And then how much money do you need to live the way you want to live? Go on a vacation, put some money in investments, those type of things. And then on top of that, we add taxes, we add brokerage costs, we add business expenses, and we figure out your annual GCI number. And from there, we break that down to, okay, that's the number that you actually need to make to pay your bills, pay your taxes, pay your business expenses, pay your brokerage fees, and live the life you want to live. So how many deals is that? And then from there, okay, what do you do buy side versus sell side? So let's say you need to do 20 deals this year to hit your income, and you're going to try to do 12 buy side deals and 8 listings. That's how many you have to close. So from there, how many buyers and sellers do you actually need to work with to close that many deals? And then from there, what are the metrics to get in front of that many buyers and sellers? So ultimately, what we break it down to is, how many database calls do you need to be making a day? How many open houses are you going to be doing a month? How many, networking events are you going to be doing? How many new business contacts are you going to try to add? Those types of activities on a monthly basis, or of what your monthly goals are for activities. And I think, as Steve said, if you break it down into smaller goals, like monthly goals or even weekly goals, and you use some sort of tracker to really help hold yourself accountable, that's when you really see the tremendous results. And with that, we also talk a lot about personal goals. And I know Steve does this with his team as well. And I think this is where people really shine, is when they tie their personal goals in with their professional goals, because that helps keep them motivated even when they're frustrated, right? So that is something we talk a lot about, is just, personal goals alongside professional goals, and then really ultimately crafting a vision for your business. So this year, for your business and your life, what do you want that to look like? Not just how much money you want to make and how many deals do you want to do, but lifestyle wise as well. How much do you want to work? Other personal goals woven in there as well. And ultimately, I think that those type of goals are usually easier hit, because you understand the why, you have the mindset behind how it's going to change your business and your life. And those are the ones that are easiest to stick to. So I know that was rapid
And that
fire
actually
info,
goes,
but
no, it's great, because that goes to everybody. It goes to brand new in the business. You're in the business 2 years, maybe you're looking to change. We've had people go through UX that were not brand new agents, that have been in for 4 or 5 years. That so it's not just for that. And it's actually a perfect topic for today, because that's really what you're doing in UX and in anything, is you're planning and you're structuring, you're systematizing, you're organizing your daily workflow to your business to get the most, because we all know this is an actionable business. if the action's there and the activities are there, the results do happen. We're in a wonderful business where the sky is the limit as far as what we can make. So a lot of times it's those actions and knowing exactly the activities to do the proper activities. I think that sometimes too, we're a little shy to ask the question, but there really is not a dumb question. There's not any question that you shouldn't ask. You should always ask. That's the biggest thing too, is if you don't understand or don't get it, you're not going to be shamed for asking or putting your hand up, because if you don't know, you don't know, right? And we've got so many great people here on this call that have done it at a high level and want to see you do that as well. So I love that, Liz. Thank you. And Liz has spent so much time in building the UX, the unique experience program with Michael, and the hours and heck years that went into doing it and really formulating a pretty cool recipe for success. So thank you, Liz. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then what's Crawford team doing for business planning this year? How are you guys?
Yeah,
what are your plans?
As far as ours, so we, I think, and I forgot to mention this, I think business planning is kind of twofold for agents, and a lot of times they combine them maybe or do one before the other. So it's business planning and then a marketing plan, in my opinion. And Steve talked a little bit to their marketing plan, and I think that is imperative. How often you're communicating with your database, what you're going to say, and what method in which you're going to reach out to them. So Crawford team, what we're working on or have, put into this year is our marketing plan. We've really ramped it up as far as, more email touches to our database. We're adding a lot of video touches this year that we've really never done before. We have a monthly class schedule of all the, opportunities that we're offering value to our agent partners through educational content. And then really just we're doing this ours is twofold, right? Because we have to do this for our agent partners and also for our clients, our borrowers. So we have marketing plans that are geared towards each one of those segments. And we're really just ramping it up a lot this year. But the biggest thing we're adding is video content. I think that marketing wise in general, that is what is working the best and seeing the best results. And especially with everything that's happened with COVID and really not being able to be face to face with people as much as we would like, video, we think, is the next best way to stay really connected and keep personal relationships with people virtually. So video is one we're incorporating. And then as far as business goals, we're a little different on this because Stuart has never been I'm going to set a number goal type of guy. He's never been that way. And he's been in the business for, 18 years. We've been in the top 10 in the Valley the last 5 years. We had our best year ever in 2020 by far. And his mindset is always, if we're doing the work, we're doing the activities that we need to do, and we're providing exceptional customer service, we're going to hit the numbers we need to hit and more. And that's kind of his mindset. He isn't a big number goal setting person. I am. So I have set a number for us that I want us to hit. But with that, we break it more down and focus on, how many leads do we need every month? How many discovery calls do we need to do? How many loan applications do we, need to take? How many RESPA apps do we need to submit? Like those are the type of metrics that we monitor more so than closings and commission.
Well, that's good to hear too. I mean, again, it's just, to me, business planning it's not just one size fits all because of the industry. It's just nice to hear what everybody else is doing and how we can prepare and strategize together as a group. And again, one thing that's awesome about the community here is the willingness to help. So, Steve, going back to you quickly on 2021 production numbers. So you hit 30, we'll call it 40 into 2020. And you said you try to make achievable, which is great. Again, small strides to be better every day, right? Which are always going to yield in much bigger results. So what is the number? So we can kind of have an idea of, let's say, a percentage of how you see a realistic number that you guys can meet as a team with growth, repeat and referral, and adding potential new members and getting you out of the car with buyers and freeing you up to do more prospecting.
Yeah, it's like it came out to like just at like 42 million for this year, like as a goal. But again, I think it probably like Liz, like I think I function a lot like Stuart in that way. Really, like it's there because I reverse engineered and I was like, if we do all these activities, we'll probably land at 42 million. I didn't do it the other way. I didn't go backwards, like, from, oh, I want to sell 42 million. So
I like the reverse strategy as well. And personally, that's how we look at it too as a company with growth in my home group. We know that if we're going to do this, we have to do X amount of things. And it comes from not only recruiting, retention, attraction, education, training, everything that we provide as a company. We're also furthering that reach too with our agents and knowing that we want the like-minded folks. So if you're in a cross sale with an agent that is just a rock star and has done an amazing job in the transaction, we want that same referral. So we're working like Steve. A lot of what we've done has been really organic growth, and organic growth to me is number one, the cost efficiency of it. You're not spending these dollars to get back, and you can see here Steve as a success story is. You didn't hear him say he's got a $20,000 spend for online clicks, this, that, what have you. The business is there. It's attainable. There's a lot of it. And it's those measurable actions and the touches and the nurture that gets you where you're going to go. And again, the actions always yield the results. It's the biggest thing I could say here when it comes to planning. And you can be doing different types. And, I was really, really good at open houses. Jeremy and I were when we first were starting out. We liked it. We were amongst the people. We got to chat. Neither one of us were good database people. We were awful at it. So if you're awful at something, you can always get the help to replace it, and it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. And the tools and the resources that you have now are so much easier they were back in 2001 trying to put together a database. Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think it's a really, really good point because honestly, like I hate open house. It's literally like, I'd literally rather do anything than sit open house probably. And so I'm very awful at it because I think when I'm sitting there, I'm aggravated when people come in because I have to talk like that, but when I first started building my business, for me, I would rather, there is no expireds anymore, but back then I could call expireds. And for me, that was easier than sitting in an open house because I felt like I was more in control of it. Now that my business is Sphere and database, I know what that means. And so, excuse me. So I know what activities I have to do. And those activities are in alignment with my goals and also the kind of clients we want and the kind of business we want to have. So for us, it's really important to us, that I think it's overused to say like our clients are our family, but at the end of the day, I call them we call our clients like our people, and it's like when we meet someone, I'm like, oh, these guys are our people. And we know what that feels like from our first interaction. And so everything we do, how we communicate on email, how we communicate on video, what we do on an event, anything, it has a certain feel and way and how we want to be about it, because that's what's attracting the kind of people that we're having fun with, that we're enjoying being in business with. And when you're first starting, I think the really great point to this is just, the goal is not necessarily to pick 2 or 3 things that you hate that somebody else, it worked for someone else, and then you start it and you do it for a week or 2, and then it's not sustainable because you hate it so much and you quit on it, and then you hate real estate and you leave the business. The idea is what's sustainable for you. Everyone's goals are different. Everyone's plan's different. So you have to make sure your business plan matches your goals and objectives for your business. So if you want a business that's all listings and no buyers, it doesn't really make sense probably to spend a ton of money doing internet advertising, talking about what a great buyer's market is or something, because all you're going to attract is what you said you didn't want, and vice versa. If you want all buyers because you love buyers, cold calling expireds probably wouldn't make any sense because you would be not doing what's in alignment with your business. And it's the same with the volume. If you want to sell 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 houses, there's no right or wrong answer to that. But your activities day to day are going to be really different than someone who has a goal to sell 80 or 100 or 200 houses. And so make sure what you're setting up for yourself makes sense, and then it's realistic, and then it's alignment. Because if you only want to sell 4 houses a year, you probably don't have to do all that much, and you for sure probably don't have to cold call 8 hours a day or 3 hours a day. But if you want to sell 300 houses and you don't know anybody, you're probably better have a lot of cold calling or a big, huge ad spend in your budget to hit your number. So it's just making sure that everything's in alignment as you build it out.
I agree with that. And I think that's super important to keep in mind. And that kind of goes back into starting with the vision, because I think that's super important. It's like nobody else can tell you what your business should look like. That's really up to you and what you want and what you need for your lifestyle and what works with your family. So I think that really hits it on the head. And I think so many agents kind of lose sight of what they want because they're thinking of what they should do, right? Because there's industry pressure or, people touting their numbers all over the place. And if we worry about what everyone else is doing, we're ultimately just impeding our own productivity. So I think that's exactly right. Plan for yourself, for your business, and keep your head down and work. And ultimately, that's going to work.
I love that. And again, it doesn't. Oh, go ahead.
Hey, can I ask a quick question for
Of course.
So I'm a newer agent. I took the UX training. It was amazing. I did an open house with Michelle Bollinger. Hey, Michelle, I saw you're on here. Tenfold, that was like the best experience of my entire life, as well as a contract assistant. Yes. But what would you guys say, aside from getting in the MLS and trying to hop on as many of these trainings as we can, what are your favorite resources for the most valuable information we can be providing our buyers and sellers?
So when you ask that question, are you talking about technical information, like, like on the more towards leaning towards legal questions and, contract questions, or are you talking about like market data and information about like whether prices are going up or that kind of stuff?
So 1, market data, and 2, the real value of being a homeowner is where I'm at.
Gotcha. So I think, again, knowing your clients and knowing your business, like who your universe is right now that you're speaking to, is really important about that. Because, a first-time home buyer looking for a down payment assistance program, or somebody that's already, 5 transactions down the road on something, the value you provide is going to be different. The value you provide an investor might be bringing them an off-market deal that no one else knows about. The value you might provide a first-time home buyer might be the same, but for a different reason, because they're losing out left and right on houses. So a great example of this is, and this is why it's so important, back to Mark's point, to build your database, to build your network, to build your community, is that we went on a listing appointment yesterday that I got referred. I've got this first-time home buyer couple that has they lose every house because they don't have any money, and they're losing to cash every single time. And meeting with the seller, and the seller's like, I just want to sell it to a nice couple. And I think I'll probably just end up selling it to my client. They don't even care if it goes on the market. They don't care about a bidding war. They just want to know that the people are nice. So I have another one right now where my clients need to sell before they can buy. And I have an investor that wants it, and he's willing to pay retail for it to not have to get in a bidding war. So if I didn't have my network built out like that, then those deals wouldn't be possible. I'd be chasing the same deals everybody else is chasing in MLS, and that's rough right now. There's no listings. So the biggest value you can provide your clients, in my view, is to have a massive network of people and opportunities and great relationships with other agents where they're bringing deals to you and you're bringing deals to them and that kind of stuff. And then same with your, if you want to call it like personal network, because that value is really what people are looking for. I mean, theoretically, you can train a monkey to fill the blanks in the contract. Your value is providing them something that they didn't know was available to them.
Agreed.
Or that someone else couldn't bring them.
I
and to speak
agree
to that
with
too.
everything. Oh, sorry, Mark.
No, go right ahead.
I agree with everything Steve said. And I think that's really what sets great agents apart from good agents, is the ones who really try to be that, ultimate professional resource for their clients, not even with just things real estate related, but the concierge, which I know I have a lot of people at my home group preach to the concierge kind of concept. But as far as when you're new and learning, that can be daunting, right? Because there's some fear that comes into not knowing the answers, not having the resources. So I'm going to give you a few kind of more just tactical things that I think can be great resources to provide to your clients, whether you take the information and put it in an email, you take the information and make a quick video about it, or you just have a conversation. But some of the ones that I really love, I think HomeBot, we already talked about, is a huge resource. I think the Cromford report, which costs money, is a huge resource. But if you are not going to subscribe to Cromford, there are monthly or bi-monthly Cromford market update classes that you can go to that, my team, a lot of the top lenders and title companies in town host. My home group hosts them as well, I think bi-monthly. So that to me that's the best one to get really a great way to explain current market conditions and current market projections to clients based on data, not speculation. So that's really huge. And then, a lot of the power partners provide monthly infographics of the market stats for the cities. So I think those are really helpful to provide as a touch point to clients. And then as far as just other kind of general info, like you said, why it's great to be a home buyer. I know, let mortgage companies, we have a ton of that information, but also Breakthrough Broker, if you guys are not familiar with it, is an amazing free resource for real estate agents that has thousands of marketing things on there already prepared and graphically designed that you can just plug your branding into. So Breakthrough Broker is another really great one to find. There's a library of articles and past newsletters. You can find snippets on, home ownership or investments or this or that or the other. So I think those would be the practical ones that I really use a lot, as well as the market summary tab on Armless, I think is really helpful too.
Yes, agreed. I was going to touch on the Armless piece, the RPR, reporting in there too for like individual home prints. If you're at an open house and you want to do the neighbors around, give them all RPR reports on their home when you go ask them to come see your open house. Hopefully you guys do. The other thing that Liz said was Breakthrough Broker. Guys, in our marketing suite, so in MAP, in the dashboard of the My Agent portal, when you log in, the marketing suite, you're already set up in Breakthrough Broker as an agent with My Home Group. So if you guys haven't seen the stuff going on of that as part of it, or just go check out the dashboard. We also are doing classes for Breakthrough Broker as well. But when you log in, it's with your MLS email. So whatever you signed up with Armless, with Association, the email you used, that's going to be your login. And then you create a password through there. And if you guys have any questions on that, reach out to Agent Services or to Jenny in the office to navigate through. But it's a wonderful, wonderful tool and resource. And Brittany, I want to congratulate you. That's awesome. I love hearing that. You're excited, you're jazzed. It's the greatest feeling to grow a business, and we're all here to help. Someone had asked a question. What was the last one I mentioned? And I could have said it fast, so I apologize. It's the RPR report, the realty Realtor Property Resource. Yeah, Realtors Property Resource is a great one too. And that's in your dashboard in Armless. So when you log in, go to products, and then RPR will be a drop down.
One other thing that we use all the time, if you guys don't get Phoenix Business Journal, you for sure should get it. Because there's a lot of great information in that as well. There's an online version of that. It's really inexpensive too. They're great talking points for your clients. A lot of times it'll tell you of a new company that's opening a headquarters. It's going to tell you of new restaurants that are opening. It's going to tell you if someone got promoted or someone changed jobs. You'll be amazed how many times, if you get that, you'll see someone and they switch jobs and you didn't know they were switching. These are great opportunities to reach out and have conversations and say, hey, I saw you got promoted. I saw this, I saw that. Or, hey, did you guys know that this new headquarters is opening around the corner? That's going to be awesome for your property values, like all of that kind of stuff. So I think as agents, a lot of times we get so focused on talking about data, or trying to convince people. why it's a good time to do something or why they should do something. But the reality of this is, for the most part, is it's an emotional reason people do things, especially when it comes to home purchases, right? It's how it makes them feel to own a home. It's security, it's family, it's, you know, having the family over for Christmas, it's having their coffee on the porch, it's how they feel. So the more you can story tell, the more you can engage what's happening in their neighborhood or happening in the neighborhoods they're interested in, and not just be hammering them with like, did you know that all wealthy people own houses? You know, it's like, yes, that might be true, but that's you're not going to convince enough people that way. The more you can kind of story tell around some of this stuff, it's really, really helpful. And it doesn't feel like when you're calling them, you're asking them for referrals and business all the time. You're calling them with something that's helpful or cool or informative. And it's a lot, you know, the conversations are easier, and it's a lot easier to have more of them that way than just, you can't call and ask all the time.
I kind of want to add something to that, if I could, for Brittany. You asked, how can you help your buyers see the value of owning a home? One of the things, and it's super basic level, but possibly building your questionnaire sheet to get to know your buyer. When you can talk to what's important to them, that's really, despite all the facts and figures and everything else that come into play, or I should say not despite it, but you can pull the facts and figures that matter to them rather than spewing a bunch of stuff that will lose them. If you have yourself a good checklist of questions that you can generally ask, and of course your questions for your buyers and sellers are different, but if you have that checklist to where you can get to know your buyer, it'll help you know what information to give them that really matters to them.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and Brittany, I don't know if you remember, but we have a really awesome buyer's questionnaire that you got in UX that's like 3 pages that has all those questions already in there. And it really helps you get to know them on a personal level, like Michelle stated, that allows you then to kind of speak to what's important to them, which is, I think, super important in actually, you know, finding out what their motivations are.
Yeah. Ours
That's
also
awesome,
asks
guys.
like what they like to drink and eat and all that stuff, because it makes it more fun to send them,
Oh,
you know, for
yeah.
their closing gifts and all that stuff too. So like, you know, don't be scared. Where they went to school, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, the more you get to know them, you know, the deeper the relationship, the better this is going to be, because they're going to want to advocate for you then. And then just to answer the question on the side, so the Phoenix Business Journal is like, it's the whole valley. It's just, you know, it's the surrounding areas too.
Another great thing that I love that has really awesome content on Instagram that you can share to your stories or use or save is Keeping Current Matters. I love that and use stuff all the time. It's specific like real estate content and infographics, but they have amazing one about, you know, home price appreciation forecasts for 2021. You know, they talk about rates, they talk about, you know, listings, they talk about all sorts of stuff, but that's a really great one to follow as well. And utilize the content to share so you don't have to recreate it necessarily.
Thank you. Yeah, and you know, I'm glad that you guys mentioned the buyer questionnaire piece and the overall experience and how it is indeed emotional. Steve, you made a great point when you said the things like family, Christmas, coffee on the porch, the whole feeling around everything. I think it also goes to psychology of sales, is anytime you can get an emotion or a feeling from a consumer, you've won them, right? Because you've related to them on such a personal level, and that just immediately creates that trust factor, because that's what we're doing. We're creating trust. You want to work with people that you know, like, and trust. So awesome point. And I just love all this. You know, that's why I think the open collaboration on business planning is not one size fits all. There's not one plan that's going to work for everybody. It's the plan that works for you based on the activities you're going to do. Like Steve said, if you're going to hate it, don't do it, right? There's always something in this business that you're going to be able to do, and you're going to be awesome at it. So why not pump the energy to where you're awesome, you know? And the things that suck, like contract, etc., you can farm that out, right? We have TCs. There's plenty of people to handle that stuff. We have the broker hotline. the support behind it, right? You're just pushing the things off that are not the highest and best use. They're all important pieces to the transaction in your business, but not that highest and best use. So we've got a couple minutes left. I wanted to open up, and don't be shy. Either if you want to share a plan that you've already done and what you're implementing for this year, any questions, anything you're feeling, anything you want to share, we'd love to just, last 8 minutes open up so everybody can have an opportunity to speak.
If anyone wants a copy of anything we do and have to, I'm happy to share it. I'm not shy about sharing it if anyone wants it. So we have the full marketing calendar for the year already typed out, and then our buyer boxes, seller guides, what we're doing for content for anything. Like, I'm happy to share any of that.
That is amazing, Steve. You are very kind to be so collaborative.
Absolutely. And yeah, please don't be shy. Any questions you have, and all this stuff today we can share with you that Steve's talking about, and any information for that matter. If you think of things after the call, you can reach out to any one of us, any person, Steve, Liz, Kelly, myself. We really are here to help, and get you to the path that, is exciting, right? This business is not all, thankfully we're essential, and it's not all doom and gloom. And there's a lot of exciting things in real estate that go just beyond the transaction. But anybody at all, any questions that you want to, or does someone have a business plan that they'd love to share? I'd love to hear it,
Everyone's so shy.
It's okay. And if you don't, it's all right too. It's not a problem at all.
Is anyone having a hard time writing one and doesn't know where to start? Because we could maybe help with that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I came up with a list, of like certain goals and that kind of thing. Just me as a person, where we have like a 3 and a 5, and then like there's a 1. But realistically, the goal for me would be like 4 million. But then I want to focus on 3 things: database, prospecting, social media, and then we come up with the 5 things on the database when it comes to the number of calls daily, intro videos, clean the database, text, monthly emails, and then for prospecting, open house, gift card, door knock, listing calls, where I can find those and how I can do it. Drop by, even yard sales or estate sales and maybe talk to somebody. And then social media, I did maybe 2 posts a week for Instagram, 4 a week for Facebook, maybe 2 a month for YouTube, and then TikTok I don't know much about, and I have LinkedIn. I've been posting, these, once a week.
So when looking at your plan, Jim, one thing I would say is how you have the social media measured out of like, I'm going to post this many times, I'm going to do that. Everything in your plan needs to be measurable like that. So if you're going to go to yard sales, it just can't say go to yard sales. It's like, okay, well, how often are you going to yard sales? How many times a week or month or whatever it is that, if you're going to talk to your past clients in your sphere, how often am I doing that? What am I saying? So that when you look back at your plan, you can say, yes, I actually did the action that I had said I was going to do, committed to, or I didn't do it. And then you'll know why you're off goal.
Well, I like that you're writing it down. I think writing down anything is a self-declaration. So, I used to call it the BBOT, the big board of truth. And I put everything on this big board. And before, again, it was what I learned from my mentor back in 2001. And as simple as it is, it was super important and crucial. We actually, it was production, it was calls, it was how many clients we had and prospects that we had at once. And that was the big board of truth. That was every single day. It's staring you in the face. There's different ways now, obviously, with technology, but also there is the digital version of the weekly greatness tracker. There is still the PDF version, because a lot of people do like to print that out and write into it. I personally love the greatness tracker. It's what I've implemented in my business, like in what I do as a person and a business owner with my home group. Is it may not be the actual prospecting buyer seller stuff, but I still am looking to do the face-to-faces, right? I'm still going to be breaking the bread, which is coffee, breaking bread that breaks down barriers. Then you have the X amount of hours prospected. You have the X amount of hours of education, reading, etc., things to keep you going forward and growing in the business. And then beneath that is it's going to yield X amount of leads that's going to be X amount of deals. And the data starts to compile. So over a month's time, you're doing the weekly greatness tracker. You know how many people you talk to, you know how many face-to-faces you've had, and how many calls you've made, and how many hours you prospected. And now you've got data that you could say, I have to make 100 calls, do 5 face-to-faces, X amount of prospecting in order to get 5 leads that gives me 1 deal. And now you can start doing what Steve's talking about, that reverse engineering process of those are your specific measurable actions, and you know the results that it's going to yield. And it's just made it easy for me to write it down. I still enjoy writing it down, but there's digital versions too that we have all this stuff as well for you guys, so we can share that as well. Kelly, that would be an awesome one to do, is the digital version, Excel version, the PDF one too. So
Yep.
Awesome.
And Steve, you see the questions in the chat about the market, if you want to.
Yep,
summarize
I got a couple minutes and then I got to hop off. But yeah, so my view of that, and that, you know, I just saw a thing, it actually came through from Business Journal yesterday. You know, our mortgage delinquency in Phoenix, even though the national trend is going up, our mortgage delinquency in Phoenix is actually going down. And so we're at about 4% delinquency right now. To give you perspective, if any of you are old enough, you all look too young, but to remember the last crash, it was 16.
Not that young.
Yeah, the delinquency was 16.8% in Phoenix. So
Yeah,
we're not even a quarter of the delinquency that we were at during the last crash. And if you're in the market, you see your clients probably losing to cash deals and all of that kind of stuff, you know, left and right now. I mean, those are pretty good indicators, at least in the short term, that there's not going to be this massive new influx of property coming to the market that's going to cause prices to go down. We're just not seeing that. Now, the market's always trailing probably 6 to 8 months. So when you start to see indications of that, it won't show up in actual practice in the market for 6 to 8 months, but I don't see it happening this year. I think if you're working with a lot of buyers, just prepare for it to suck this year.
Yeah, and I look at, it's, you know, I think local market data is so important, and that's why I look to Cromford for that. And like Steve said, we have one of the lowest, forbearance rates here, because a lot of people were in strong equity positions based upon when they bought, were able to take advantage of refinancing, and are likely not to list because they just dropped their mortgage payment by $300 a month. So I think we need to plan on it being a pretty competitive market, at least for the next 3 to 6 months and beyond. I have some really good stats on Keeping Current Matters. There's one that they're predicting an average, and this is national, 3.9% home appreciation over the next year. And they compiled that from data from 6 housing authorities. So NAR predicted 6% appreciation, Realtor.com 6%, Zelman 6%, Freddie Mac 3%, CoreLogic 2.5%. So all of the housing authorities nationally are predicting appreciation in 21, not depreciation, which means we're going to continue to have a very tight market inventory situation. So that stat is really cool. It's on, I don't know if you guys can see, Instagram, Keeping Current Matters, and you can share and use their content. They allow it. It's built for realtors. So
that's awesome, Liz. I didn't even know that. That's cool.
I gotta hop off, guys.
Hey, Steve, thank you. Appreciate it.
Wants anything, just reach out, and I'm happy to share anything I got, good or bad.
Have a great day, Stevie the man. Thanks.
Right.
Keep rocking it.
Take care.
And guys,
Steve.
we're just at our hour, so we'll wrap up here. But really quickly, just want to thank Liz with VIP Stuart Crawford team. And I mean, guys, this is our partner. She's wonderful. Her job is to help you. So don't abuse her, but use her, right? She's here to help. And
Yes.
Thanks, Steve. I mean, that's your time, Steve, and it's nice that you can give that. As always, engage with the brokerage, guys. You will get the best results too engaging with us. Taking part in what we do. I know we have lots of classes, lots of info, all this stuff, and it can be overwhelming. You don't have to do it all. Pick what works for you, do it, and engage with us. And I promise you, again, you just get a lot more out of what we're doing and being involved in the culture and just involved with us. It's an exciting year. I'm stoked for it. I hope everybody else is too. And again, anything that we can do to help grow, it pleases us more, believe it or not. So let us all help. And thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. And there was a few agents that said they were having a really hard time getting started with their business plans. I think that, you know, Kelly and I have discussed getting a business planning class on the calendar. We did one in December, but maybe one in January is a good idea too. So
Agreed.
we'll work on that, and Kelly will get the date on the calendar for walking you through step by step of how to do a business plan.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Superb. Thanks, everybody. Have a
Thank
great rest of the
you.
week. And we'll